Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Global Game Changers Summit. This summit is truly game changing, and it's very nice to be a part of it and to experience this 48-hour live event with all of you. My name is Sanadt Kumar. I am the co-founder and the Chief Operations Officer of Ascendance. And today, I've been asked to speak a little bit about social entrepreneurship. And I was thinking to myself all this while, like, what should I talk about? What is the thing that has impacted me the most on my journey of running this social enterprise for the last 7 years? And I want to talk to you a little bit about something very deeply meaningful for me and to myself. So it's always coming back to that question of asking myself, what is the heart of a social enterprise? And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So before that, I thought of just introducing myself a little bit more. So as you guys know, my name is Sanadt. I am 22 years old this year. I'm one of the co-founders and the Chief Operations Officer of Ascendance. And more than that, I'm actually the director of Wanted Shades of Life, which is a documentary series that follows around everyday Malaysians, asking them about their stories and telling the most true stories to our audience and to our people as well. I'm also a student in Toronto Film School, and I've won multiple awards in different film festivals in Tokyo and in Sweden as well. And I'm also one of the recipients of the Diana Award for Social Change Makers in 2019 as well. But more so than that, I thought of sharing a little bit about my company, Ascendance, which is a social enterprise. But more so than that, we are also one of Southeast Asia's largest growing youth movements. Ascendance is an international youth movement that works with more than 35,000 students from 28 different countries. And we build platforms for youngsters for them to figure out the things that they are passionate about, provide them with the right resources, the right skill sets, and the right mindset for them to achieve their goals, and look at how they can actually use their strengths to contribute back to solving world problems as well. We've worked with countless number of students. We've been featured in many different media appearances. And more so than that, we've actually really made a name for ourselves in this area in terms of impacting students. And at the same time, bringing this wholesome experience to many students out there as well. Another fun fact about Ascendance is also the organizers of the world's largest student-led conference, the Global Young Changemakers Conference. More than 22,000 participants registered. That actually just happened recently in September. And more so than that, this is a team that is run entirely by youngsters and teenagers as well. Now, in my 7 years of working on Ascendance, and when I say it sounds really weird, now that you know that it's actually 7 years, there's a lot of interesting lessons that I've learned. And more so than that, there's also a lot of things that I'm still learning on my journey of being this young change maker, and at the same time running this social enterprise as well. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys a lot about is what I think is the heart of a social enterprise. And I know a lot of people have different a lot of people will say different things when I ask them this question. Some of them will say that it's the entrepreneur that makes the business, which is true. Some of them will say that it's the funding and the resources, and that's what builds the business to where it needs to go. Some of them will say that it's the avenues of publicity, it's the avenues of marketing that actually can bring your business to the next level. All of these answers are very important answers. Some of them even say that the cause that you're fighting for, that's the most important thing. While all of this make a lot of sense, in my experience running this over the last few years, I think the thing that makes the most difference and is the heart of any social enterprise is actually the people behind the social enterprise. The heart of a social enterprise is always its people. Now, I have a very fun story to share with you guys, mainly because this year, Ascendance actually reached some amazing milestones. We actually, like I mentioned to you before, hosted one of the world's largest student-led conferences. But more so than that, Ascendance's revenue has increased so much in this last 1 year. We've had meaningful collaborations with, universities in the US, and at the same time with MNCs, different MNCs and SMEs in Malaysia as well. We recently even got an opportunity to run an outreach program for 3,600 students in every state in Malaysia, which means that the entire team, from our videography and our photographers to our participant liaison team, to the people who are handling the teachers, to our speakers, each and every single one of us got an opportunity to actually travel through every state in Malaysia, to the urban landscapes of Kuala Lumpur, to the most rural places in Gomusa in Kelantan. And when I was traveling throughout all of these places, one of the things that I actually really noticed well is in every community, there are people who always put that culture of collaboration, who always put that culture of working together and always put that culture of caring for each other above everything else. And that's something I noticed not just from the students that we work with, but also with parents who don't mind actually driving down their kids to another state to come and talk to students in another school. I've seen it from corporate partners who take time off to actually come and be there with the students and sit down there and ask students questions like, hey, how was your day? Okay, how was that exam like? Okay, what high school problem did you go through? And when they do that, it really makes me wonder that if everyone can come together and if everyone can have that compassion for each other, that actually makes a lot of difference. So, while I was going through that this year, through the many different travelers that we've met, we've actually got to meet some of the best teachers I've seen anywhere around the world as well. What I mean by that is actually these are the teachers who go out of their way to help students in terms of enriching the experience of their teaching. And more so than that, give them opportunities and avenues for them to go out there and change things, for them to go out there and try all kinds of different stuff. And that's so amazing, because our job, Ascendance, being a digital content provider for students, we provide entrepreneurship education, we provide financial literacy, we do all kinds of stuff. It actually requires us to see how teachers are doing it. It actually requires us to see what the people really need. And that experience that came together as a result of this collaboration and as a result of the people that are around there actually made me realize this thing. And I've had so much fun traveling over the last 1 year to all kinds of different schools. But then, if you really look back at that, this is just the teachers, and this is a group of youngsters who came together to work on a project that is so amazing. Ascendance as a whole is now being run by an entire team of teenagers and young kids, from elementary school kids to high school kids, who are now doing all that they can. And all of this came about because of that one value of collaboration and of working with different people. But Ascendance's bigger vision requires not just students, not just teachers alone, but every sector of the community. Our stakeholders is literally every single person that is involved in the education sector, and also every other sector as well. We've worked with the Ministry of Education. We had to work with our many different advisors. We had to work with SMEs to MNCs. Everyone had to play their part in building the future. And every once in a while, there are ideas like Ascendance that come about that brings together and fosters that collaboration. So that's something that's very interesting, and that's something that made me realize that, hey, this is very important. That culture, creating that culture of collaboration, makes all the difference in anything and everything that we do. So, for those of you who want to, just to give you another example of that, this year, Ascendance actually hosted the world's largest student-led conference. What I mean by that is the collaboration goes further beyond just students and teachers in one country. But this year, we actually managed to collaborate with young change makers from all over the world. And these are kids and teenagers who are changing the game, ironically changing the game, in their own countries, in their own respective fields. From dancers to artists to social activists to animators to coders to musicians, each and every single one of them played a very important role. And all of them actually came together and said, hey, why not? Why not work together to produce something amazing? Why not work together to provide people with the right kind of platform, the right kind of content that they need? And it's that coming together of people that made that possible. But let's widen your reach. Let's widen the scope of your thinking as you're watching this as well. It's not just young change makers from all over the world. It's not just a huge team of Gen Zs who came together. This year for our conference, we actually had an opportunity to work with all sorts of people from different parts of the world. We had the VP of Strategic Innovation from Every Dennison come on board and share her experiences to all the kids that we've been working with. These experiences are so priceless. We've had people from the Wharton School who came on board, professors from the Wharton School who came on board and addressed the huge crowd of kids that are there during our conferences. We've had the former Minister of Education in Malaysia come on board and share his experiences. So as you can see, it's like I mentioned to you before, it's the most important thing is making sure that there are wonderful people that are there, and there's always that culture of working together. Now, let's go a little bit further. Other than doing all of this, Ascendance also has our content platform called the teenageentrepreneur.com. Now, the teenageentrepreneur.com, of course, features a lot of the people that you've seen before, but not just only that. It also features workshops and mentorship sessions from some of the top C-suite executives from all over the world. These people are VPs, these people are head of innovations, Emmy award-winning producers, people who work in some of the biggest data analytic companies, some of the biggest media companies as well. All of them come on board and just spend their time with kids and teenagers. They share their experiences, they share the things that made them into who they are today. And it's that culture of sharing that is just so amazing, because this content will not be available, and in theory it wouldn't be available if it wasn't for a new wave in creating culture. And that's the thing that I want to leave you guys off with, in terms of the heart of a self-sustaining social enterprise. So now you're going to start a social enterprise, or you're going to start a business after that, and you're going to ask yourself this question: how can you create this culture? And the best answer to that, and this is something that really impacted me a lot, is the only way to create culture is through leading by example. The reason why Ascendance is like this today is because our mentors went out of their way to make sure that they always put people first. I've had my mentors who offered us places to stay and come and lodge and work with them, so that we have that space for us to do the work that we need to do. When we were going around the entire country, some of our mentors actually gave their cars for us to go and do the work that we do out there. When you always grow up watching people put others first, you naturally will do that. And I'm actually very proud to say that Ascendance managed to do this as well. The kids that we've been working with, in their own way, are actually looking back at contributing back to society and building people. You have wonderful people like Vinisha, who's 20 years old right now. She runs her own startup that actually creates graphic designs, and she does illustrations for books and for clients as well. But she actually puts aside a little bit of her income back into Ascendance to develop more youngsters out there. Same thing with people like Vaha and Abi, who is our head of communications and our head of publicity. Every day they are bringing the skills that they have to a global scale, but at the same time they are spending that time to put others first, to build other people first, and to guide other people first. And now they are the ones who are managing and running this huge team called Ascendance as well. So to create culture, the best way, and probably the only way, is to lead by example. And that is, I think, probably the main thing that builds a social enterprise into what it is. I'm going to end this with a quote that my mentor said that is very dear to me. I'm very young and I still have so much more to learn. I have so much more to learn about this world. And so many times when he tells me this, I still cannot understand this. But every once in a while, in moments like this, when I'm sharing this, or when you do something very profound, I kind of slowly begin to understand what he meant when he said this. And he told me this very, very nicely. It's not what you say, it's who you are that makes the difference. So if you want to create a culture where people put others first, where people always want to collaborate with each other, you need to do it first, and you need to live with that as well. So with that, my name is Sanadt. Thank you guys so much for listening to my keynote session. I look forward to meet all of you guys in the panel session as well. And I hope that you have something very interesting, an interesting takeaway from this. And I hope one day you can come and share your story in the next Global Game Changers Summit, or any of the other events that Ascendance and other organizations are doing this as well. Congratulations to all of the organizers, and I would like to see you in another time. Thank you.